we make millions of dollars directly attributed in net profit every single year from YouTube.
You know how Iman, what he did was all his YouTube videos point to one YouTube video? What do you think about that?
So I talked to Iman about that in Dubai. We did that for 4 months, and
Hormozi, when I was at his office, he was talking about, he's like, look at all the biggest brands in the personal development space. Tony Robbins, Dave Ramsey, Grant Cardone. He's like, what do all these people have in common? He's like, every single one is really built off.
I just think information is getting more and more commoditized.
I think right now, if you're not doing a service, you're cooked.
We both achieved a level of financial success where I think we're relatively safe at this point.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
If not, what is safe?
So then I'm thinking, let's start taking a little bit, some bigger swings maybe. And so I decided to go all in on a...
What's your, for people who don't know, like, what's like your offer been? And then it's kind of made a transition recently. And like, so what are you kind of up to now with all this stuff?
Yeah, so the past 4.5 years, we've pretty much done marketing and sales consulting. I originally launched the company as a done-for-you offer, placing virtual assistants. Placed over 1,600 virtual assistants back when cold email was like the tits. Everybody did.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were getting hundreds of booked calls a month from just outbound.
Trying the Zen?
I've never done Zen before.
Not on the podcast.
You told me
not
not to try it on. I said, should I try one of those here? You said
no.
And then we transitioned it to just purely consulting. Did that over the last 4 years. We're decently successful with that. And then in the last like 12 months, as you and I have talked about, the market has gotten way more sophisticated.
Yeah.
It's gotten way more saturated. Ads have gotten way more expensive. And so when I was just running the numbers, I was like, I need to charge way more money. Sometimes it's harder to charge more money for just pure consulting unless you're just a huge face and a huge brand name, but then I got to go even harder on content and production. And I started realizing that like you and I had a couple of discussions about like, what is that net worth number that we want to hit? And like, we both achieved a level of financial success where I think we're relatively safe at this point.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
If not, what is safe?
Yeah, that's
if not,
fair.
I don't know what to tell everybody else.
That is fair.
So,
so then I'm thinking, okay, if I'm safe, let's start taking a little bit, some bigger swings maybe. And so I decided to go all in on I wanted to do a done for you offer, like something that was scalable, maybe even exitable after a certain amount of years.
Yeah.
And so, looking at Hormozi stuff, CAC to LTGP, and looking at things that have decent multiples and tech backed and what I could use AI for. But I also wanted to make sure I didn't go too deep into like maybe starting a SaaS, which you and I have talked about so many times, how so many people like, they're in our world and industry and then they see
not
the
a
money
high
in
success
SaaS.
rate.
Yeah, very low success rate. And so I was like, I don't want to...
Basically, Alex Becker, everybody else.
Yeah, and Sam Ovens.
Sam Ovens
had
massive success.
Yeah, you got to give him credit there. Yeah. And so then, anyway, long story short, we launched a done-for-you YouTube offer now, where we're essentially doing the same consulting that we were doing previously, very similar to how you do the consulting with recruiting.
Yeah.
We do the same consulting, but now we're doing it alongside
a service,
an actual done-for-you service.
It's very clear. I think right now, if you're not doing a service, you're cooked.
You know why I realize? We've been running ads for consulting for 4.5 years now at a decent ad spend level. And within the first week of switching it to a purely done for you offer, first of all, the quality of the calls that we were booking,
much better.
Oh my God. Like our average before was like 10 to 20K. Now our average is 50 to 100K. So then the people you're talking to is better. You can charge more money. And ironically enough, people might not believe me, our cost per call also lowered, even though we're getting more qualified people because there's more people that want the done for you service.
And it's a good trend right now because everybody knows they need to go organic.
Everybody knows, and I think even more organic. I think Instagram was big and everyone had their shine. But I mean, you and I talked for an hour earlier about how important YouTube is. And so now I think so we're kind of catching a little bit of a wave right now. But it's been, I think we launched it 60 days ago. We just got 60-day results. And like I was telling you before, if a client had a channel previously that was posting at least one time a month, the average was 262% increase in their views in the first 60 days. So, it's working well for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about Daniel Iles. Like he has, I mean, that's somebody who service business, kind of similar, adjacent to you.
Yeah.
Doing huge numbers. I mean, even like it's pretty much, if you're in the business space at all, it's got to be a service. Even if you think about like a lot of clients in health are crushing it. Like I know several people, even just locally, doing several million a month. But that's like still, like they have 40 coaches on staff.
Yes.
It's still kind of service based. B2Cs, like biz op type of stuff, much, much harder now, especially with so much YouTube content. So I definitely think for B2B, it's got to be a service.
Really quick, if you're looking to land a lucrative high-ticket closing roles, so something that's 6 or multiple 6 figures a year, completely remote, and with an offer owner that has good lead flow, good comp structure, as an actual offer that gets their clients results, and the offer owners are cool, but you kind of feel like that you don't have the track record or the experience or even the connections to break into the industry and land an offer that's actually good, one that's worth their salt, I want to invite you to take a free quiz that I essentially created that will assess where you're currently at in high ticket sales, whether you're a complete beginner or you're very advanced or somewhere in between. And then after the quiz, it's going to give you a customized game plan of how to up level your high ticket sales career, whether that's just breaking in or taking your current position and really leveling it up to the next position. So the quiz is completely free. It takes 60 seconds. The game plan video is also completely free. So check that out. Just click the link in the description. And now back to the video.
So you're on the TRT now.
I am, yes.
How's that?
It's been cool. So that's a funny story too.
I recruited you into that.
You did. I was gonna.
That was
give
a
you
reverse
credit.
recruitment.
I remember
And Jeff.
We were actually, yeah, we were all actually.
The funny story is you were a little bit more skeptical. Jeff was like, "So how does it increase your productivity?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm like, "Oh, dude, it's really great." And he was like, the next morning in South Africa, he's like, "I booked a call with a doctor."
Yeah. I remember when we first talked about it. It might have even been New Year's Eve.
I was South Africa.
Oh, was it?
Because I was just on enclomiphene.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember when I booked my appointment, we were coming back on my boat in Miami, and I remember I was driving and you were sitting next to me, and I remember you telling me, I feel like I'm 21 again. Like, I remember you saying this, like, dude, he's like, the first 2 weeks you were on it, it was like insane. And then you said it kind of leveled out, but it still was way better.
The first couple of weeks, I thought, I was like, oh, this is how you hear about like Trump and Vivek and all these people who sleep 3 hours a night.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they just have high T. Yes. That's actually not true. I can tell you now from being on this for a while, no, it goes away. But that's what I thought at first.
But it's still definitely a higher baseline. And I did, so I guess my quick story was you told me about it, and I had been experiencing some of the symptoms for the last year or so, like not as much motivation to work as much anymore, not as much motivation to work out anymore, which that was a big part of who I was for a very long time. You know, and a bunch of other things I won't get to in this podcast. And so I, just like anything else, I was like, well, fuck it. Let me just get a test and I'll see from the test. And I actually made a YouTube video about it, but I think that my overall total testosterone was like 350 or something like that, 350, 375, which that's like the absolute lowest.
Oh, that's very low.
Yeah, the lowest level that you can be. That is the average male, which you don't want to be the average male in the United States, right?
No.
So I went over it with my doctor in Miami, and he's like, look, like you can be on none of it, you can be on just enclomiphene, you can actually do the injections. And I wish more people were a little bit more open about it. I like that we're talking about it here. That's why I made the YouTube video about it. I decided to go all in on the injections and the enclomiphene. Within like 2 weeks, first of all, the first 2 weeks,
Greatest thing in your life.
I gained 30 pounds in 2 weeks. It was like actually insane. And by far, I would say top 3 best things I've ever done in my personal life.
Yeah.
By far, my energy levels, like now I'm like 2 to 3 mile walks in the morning on the beach. I'll bust out an 8 to 9 hour workday. Then I'll do a lift. Then I'll do like sunset. And then I'll play a game of Catan with my friends. Like all in one, where I would have been struggling to do 2 of those things in one day. So I just feel like I have way more energy. And another thing that I didn't really notice it until I started doing it too is my confidence level. I started noticing, like, I used to be a very confident guy, and then I definitely got quieter as I got older, but there was some parts of me that was like, it's hard to describe, but I could feel myself being less confident in situations that I usually would be very...
It's a risk aversion.
A risk aversion is a great way to put it. Yeah. So I realized that, and I started noticing that changed. And then I've just been playing with the dosages. I did just enclomiphene for 3 weeks. I did just 75 milligrams for 2 weeks. I did 130 milligrams for 2 weeks. I found my sweet spot is about 100 milligrams a week is for me.
Yeah. I'm just on the enclomiphene, but dude, it rocks.
I think people should at least just start on the enclomiphene.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think people just react to it differently. I definitely felt better than what my baseline was, but the problem was I also felt better when I was actually doing the injections themselves. But like you and I had talked about, there's definitely risks. I actually did a fertility test as well, and my overall sperm mobility has gone down, but not low enough that it's like that's scary. And so, you know, my fiance is here, and we want to have kids the next probably 12 to 18 months. So it's a conversation we're having. I did freeze my sperm as well, so just in case, like that was a game plan I did as well. But unless something horrendous and crazy changes, I'll probably be on it for the rest of my life, honestly.
It's honestly, it's great. Just because the biggest thing for me that used to frustrate me is I would have good days, and then I'd have days where I'm planning all this productivity, and then it's shot.
Yeah.
And since I've been on it, I think it's like a virtuous cycle. It's like my sleep got a lot better. Because my sleep was better, I didn't need like a bunch of caffeine in the morning because I didn't need that. I didn't get a midday crash. And then I wasn't like messing with my adrenals or my system or whatever. And so like now it's like I can, there's days that are better than others still, but I can reliably just know I'm going to show up every single day.
Yes.
I think that's the other thing. So we were talking about this, but what's your thoughts on YouTube versus Instagram? Because Instagram's our favorite platform.
I honestly wish I wish we were recording when we were talking about that earlier.
We were just destroying.
We were pretty much destroying Instagram for like an hour while we were standing outside. But the short of it for me is number one. I guess. So I actually just made a YouTube video about this, but I guess for me the formula when I broke down first principles of marketing is what. Try to get the person to consume as much of your information as possible before they get on a sales call. At least that's the way that I see it, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt that the more somebody consumes of your stuff, whether it's ads or VSLs or whatever, the higher the chance of buying is. And so when you look at Instagram, the average consumption of a reel is maybe 30 seconds, maybe 7 seconds to 20 seconds. So where an average video on YouTube, for us is about 6 minutes. So if you're the average person is spending, 20 times more time on YouTube than Instagram, then obviously you're going to have a higher conversion rate. And then the other thing is the quality of the person that watches Instagram versus YouTube. It's like even the stats came out, which is what I cited in my YouTube video, but people spending Pew Research did a study, 2025. People earning over $100,000 a year, 60% of them say that they ever use Instagram. 90% of them say that they use YouTube. So the quality of the people are higher on that platform. And then the final thing is that I just as an end consumer, I hate using Instagram. I feel stupid and dumb and angry and anxious whenever I get done with it. And on top of it, I hate filming for Instagram. I hate taking 5 years or 6 years worth of knowledge from working with like 3,000 plus businesses and getting a whiteboard and trying to explain it all in 60 seconds while I'm dancing and changing outfits.
And then it only even generates views for 48 hours.
Yeah. And that was so Scott Graffis. He does a study every single year on the half-life of social media content per platform, and he found that Instagram, the half-life was 19 hours. For those of you who don't know, half-life is how long does it take for it to get 50% of the amount of views, engagement, blah, blah, blah. Right. So Instagram was on average 19 hours, YouTube 9 days on average, almost 10 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you're on Instagram, you're working 10 times harder for 1/20th of the average consumption time, and for less qualified people to be on the platform than you would do on YouTube.
Yeah, and the thing too with Instagram is there's a lot of people who are really big, but like you have to put them in the proper context. So like I was actually following, right before we started, I was looking on Instagram and I was like checking out somebody in my industry who's a sales trainer. And he's like 6 million followers on Instagram. So I'm like looking at this content, I'm like, oh, is there stuff I can replicate or ideas I can get? And then I thought about it and I was like, dude, this guy, this particular guy, I don't even know if you know who he is, but he's big in the network marketing sales space, and he speaks on probably 100 stages a year.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, is his Instagram big because of his content?
Yeah.
Or is it big because he did a 60-minute or a 2-hour keynote in front of 1,000 to 2,000 people, and in his keynote it said, follow me on Instagram, and then like that's where they're, okay, keeping up with him,
yeah,
but that's not where the relationship was built, which is where I think like, because I've thought a lot about this. It's like, you don't really want views. You want an audience.
Yeah.
Like you want relationships with as many people as possible. Okay, how do you do that? It's got to be long form. And I think the most accessible way is YouTube, but there's obviously books. Like I think the 100 Million Offers book is really like, if you watch that book and also Buy Back Your Time from Dan Martell, that's like their pinnacle when they started to go crazy. Because if you read an entire book, it's pretty safe to say like you're bought in to that person at that point. And then you're keeping up with them on the short form platform. So there's podcasts, books. I think events and stages is actually a key thing too, because again, if somebody sees you, you know how it is. If somebody meets you in person, sees you speak, right? Then they're like, okay, I'm going to keep up with Ravi on Instagram. they're just gonna watch your shit.
You should
know?
explain what we talked about yesterday, because I actually think it was a great idea when you were saying how you guys were going to adjust how you're doing events for your clients.
Oh, so I got this from Pace Morby. So Pace Morby, some birds over here. Great podcast setting. So Pace Morby was talking about essentially, he's like the master of community, right? This guy, if he ran for the governor of Arizona, he would freaking win.
No way.
Like, so he spoke at my event. He was like, yeah, guys, the next day, he's like, here's my community of 200,000 people on my Facebook group. And they follow me on this, they follow me on that. I have this many followers, whatever. It's a super engaging. So, you know, we know it's an engaged community. Like if he throws a pop-up event, like thousands of people just show up. And he's like, so what I'm going to do is I'm going on a tour to meet every single one of my people in my community in person.
Wow.
And he's doing like 53 cities in like 100 days or something like that.
Wow.
I'm messing up the time frame, but it's something crazy like that. And so anyways, what he was talking about was essentially every single time somebody joins one of his programs, to get access to the program, they have to come out and meet him in person through an event. And if you think about it, it's like when you join a program, like a lot of times you join and you're still kind of like,
I don't really know.
It's like online.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now I got to go through a module. Okay, even if it's a service. Okay, I'm meeting with this account manager. Is this legit? But then like, you know, when people like they go to one of your events, they almost always leave extremely happy, and they're like the relationship is almost already built. And so then they come in and they're like, I'm freaking ready to go,
Yes.
you know? And so one of the things we talked about doing, and the other inspiration with this was Hormozi, because he was like, when I was at his office, he was talking about, he's like, look at all the biggest brands in the personal development space. Tony Robbins, Dave Ramsey, you know, you throw in Pace Morby in there, Grant Cardone, he threw in like a bunch of names. He's like, what do all these people have in common? And we were like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, every single one is really built off in-person events. He's like, in-person events is what really scales. And what makes sense is, I was talking to some of their team about this, is like, when you go to, when you do events, so you'll get this. When you go to, like your prospects go, or your clients go to this event, they spend 2 days with you, almost always, what do they say at the end? Dude, sick event. Like, I know exactly what I need to do for the next 90 days. This is freaking amazing. This is the best. And then like, so his whole model is basically they go to the event and then they leave happy. Fulfillment is 2 days. And it's pretty much infinitely scalable still. And people pay a premium to go to those events. So for us, we're just going to add on an event to each of our programs to where we're having an event once a month. And then basically they come out, they meet me. We work through, you know, my system. It's a good introductory to my system of whatever they're learning, whether it's the B2C or the B2B side. And then they're going to finish the program out from there. So it's like almost like they get what they need from the event. Like my goal is to make the event so good that essentially the program, like they're already like, I paid for my investment.
Yeah.
Like the event's so good. And then like when they're working with their account manager, they're like, man, I just got done with this event. Let's like rip this stuff. Like, let's go.
And I feel like the other two main benefits will be the networking and connections from the event itself.
Yep.
They might end up finding JVs, partners, whatever else it is, and your LTV and renewals.
And content. Because
your
then
content,
I can
yes.
talk about what I want to talk about, hire the right people, and be like, you guys clip this however you want to clip. And then also a lot of the keynotes can go on YouTube, which like some of the best keynotes on YouTube, if you look at Hormozi's top keynote, Jeremy Miner's top keynote, some of Gary Vee's top stuff, or sorry, their top videos, all of them are keynotes. Cody Sanchez, some of her best stuff, keynotes. Dan Martell, some of his best stuff, keynotes. I think it's his top performing video, keynote.
I think it's also when you and I have probably created hundreds of presentations. It also is kind of nice when you're creating that presentation and you know that it's not just going to go to these 100 people that are in the room right now, but now it has the chance to go on YouTube and literally be thousands or tens of thousands of people for the next 5 years.
Exactly.
And still, so I try, everything I do, I want some kind of long tail.
I mean, if you want to go hard, you could even live stream the event. You've heard the thing about Hormozi's talk about live streams.
No.
Oh, so he's like, he got this from Mr. Beast, but essentially it's like there was all these influencers coming out to social media, or this like soccer game, like they're being kind of walked out. So like when the TikTokers walked out, there was like barely any applause, or like guys who were really good with shorts. And then the celebrities walked out, like the A-listers, a little bit more applause. Then the YouTubers walked out, even more applause. Then the streamers walked out, and it was like crazy. Just because like you got to think, They're spending so much.
The
I would
consumption
rather
time,
have
yeah.
like 10,000 dedicated streamers than 10,000 views of video on TikTok any day of the week.
Yeah, that's exactly goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is those people, the consumption time. That average viewer, that would be an interesting statistic. I wonder if like the streaming platforms tell you how long on average an account watches your, like Instagram and YouTube tell you the average watch time. I wonder if it tells you like
I would imagine. And there's some like I know people who, I mean, the case in point, like if you're a political streamer, you get not only the most crazy fans, but you also get the most death threats.
Yeah, the
It's
opposite.
like you are literally like your life is in danger.
Yeah.
Like you got to have like legit security. So what do you think about, so for YouTube specifically, because we've gone back and forth this a million times. Ryan Clogg did a really great job with like a micro channel
Yes.
to where like he became somebody like if you're if dude walking down the street and you're a newbie, you're not going to know who he is. But we all figured out who he was literally from his channel, posting a daily video, gets 500 views. So what do you think about that versus like going straight, trying to go as big as you can
broad
on
as
YouTube
possible.
and trying to build like a
Yeah, it's funny
brand?
because it's like, you know, we've had that conversation almost more than any other conversation I feel
Same.
like we've had. Yeah, it's like,
And
it's,
I've flip-flopped to the point where my team wants to kill me.
yeah,
They're
exactly.
they're just like, can you just pick?
Because, so I don't know if there's, I'll just tell my own experience. So, you know, I have a YouTube channel. We have 100,000 subscribers. We make millions of dollars directly attributed in net profit every single year from YouTube, leads and calls from YouTube, no doubt about it. Now the question is would it make, you know, let's say I average whatever 5,000 views a video, but it's super heavy, intense B2B, like, you know, walking through an entire organizational chart. Would I net out more money just by getting more views? The answer is probably yes. The problem is your content is so niched down that could you even get more views? And I had tried for years to get more views. And so I personally think this is where I've kind of ended up right now. And like I said, we're doing this for clients as well. What I think it works well, I do think it's incredibly important to have a base, like an asset bank of YouTube videos that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are an absolute expert at what you're teaching.
That's smart, yeah.
You know what you're doing. They can learn from you, but that if they watch these 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 videos and they got on a sales call, there's just no chance they're not buying. Even if the salesperson was hot garbage, as you would say, literally they're gonna buy no matter what. I think that that's absolutely critical because I do see a bunch of people that get a lot of views, but they're all so surface level, all so wide that there's nothing ever to really take them from like oh yeah, I watch this person to like, I really respect and love this person and think this person can solve my problems. And so I think people should build that up first. And for me, I have 415 published videos on YouTube, so I went really hard in that. I think once you have that set up, I think then you can start to play like, how can you take that same concept but chunk it up a little bit? Like an example would be, I'm trying to think real quick. Like, okay, a great example, even the keynote I did at your event, it could be, you know, on one hand, it's like how to build a team to $25 million, or the team you need to go to $25 million. So that's one. And then I could chunk up there, and instead I could repackage the video and say something more like, these are shitty titles.
How to make 10 million only working 4 hours
Exactly,
a day.
100%. So now it's like, okay, now I'm attracting a broader audience that's still going to contain my audience, but maybe because it's getting so many views and a long watch time and clicks, it's going to let the YouTube algorithm know to show it to more people and bring more people in. So where I think people might get in trouble, which I don't know, this is just my own experience, is when you go way off the reserve just to do content for views' sake, and there's no real bridge from that over to your core content that's going to be converting people. That's when I think that you might end up with just a full-time job, which is a lot of views, but you don't really have some kind of monetization vehicle behind it.
Yeah, and what was I gonna say? For me, I think that I kind of had a micro channel I didn't mean to do it, but I just posted stuff I thought was good, right? Now, I think the thing with me is I spend so much on ads, and I've been around for so long. Like, people are aware of who I am, but you know, they're obviously, like, if you're watching my YouTube videos, you probably actually saw my ads first. Like, it's very rare. Whereas, like, if you're somebody who's not spending money on ads, you could probably, if you're getting 1,000 views a video, you'll probably get a lot of prospects. For me, I was getting 1,000 to 3,000 views a video, but like, I'm not getting any leads.
Yeah.
But I think it's also because like, by the time you're down into my YouTube, you probably got
You're
hit
in the
with,
CRM.
You probably gotten hit with 15 to 20 ads.
Yeah, you're in the
so I think
CRM.
you're probably similar because you've been doing this for so long. People like they know who you are.
Yeah.
So I think it's to the point where like if you're making these micro videos, you know, it's feeding those people who are like they come up to you like, dude, I've watched all your YouTube
Yeah.
videos, and you're like, oh, did you buy? And they're like,
No.
you're like, no, or they're like, oh yeah, I bought 7 years ago.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like, that's what usually happens to me. They're like, oh yeah, I bought 7 years ago, but I just keep watching the YouTube videos. And so I think at a certain stage, when you get to a certain level of brand awareness, you have to kind of like start going
Higher.
broader,
Yeah.
which is exactly what I'm kind of trying
I
to
agree.
do.
I'm excited to see you try it out here. And we created another channel. We've also tested it. Like the last video on my YouTube channel is why I started TRT. So the exact subject that we just talked
Yeah.
about right here.
Yeah.
But that's still within the pillar of high performance and productivity, which
Yeah.
I do have on my channel as well. So that's like why I blocked it up that way. And I get a lot of new viewers from that channel. A lot of people that even stop me about that. But it's just, I think that anybody that tells you that they know everything about it, like they're so full of it. And I do think that the majority of people that are going to listen to this video is going to be business owners, I would imagine. And so my only recommendation would be, I can't tell you how many creative people that I've worked with, either hired or consulted or blah, 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 joined their program, who are really great at getting a lot of attention. And then they're really great at monetizing other people. Hey, here's how you get a lot of attention. But I don't think there's a lot of people who are really great at getting a lot of attention and then monetizing that into their specific, into the client specific business, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, there's very few.
there's very, very few are able to actually turn that. And so they sell you on, oh, you need a lot of views because I get a lot of money because I get a lot of views. But the problem with that is they're getting a lot of money from a lot of views from selling people on that they're getting a lot of views. So it's this like, you know, this circle jerk that's going on where no one's actually getting leads from the. So I do think that no matter what strategy you take, I would either listen to or model after somebody who's at least making some money from their YouTube,
Yeah.
not from the view side, but from qualified business owners or leads come through their
Are
funnel.
you still going to write the book?
Yeah, if anything, it's more important now than ever. And exactly what you were saying earlier about that like spillover effect from building
Yeah.
a brand. I was at dinner with Dan Martell and his team, and they actually pulled up their Instagram
the graph,
analytics,
yeah.
and they showed me when How to
Inflection-
Buy Back Your
inflection
Time was
point.
published. It was, I mean, I think he was telling me they had done like 7 years of content, almost nothing.
Yeah.
And then the book came out, and within 12 months, it was just like the most hyperbolic curve I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I also think what really helps is the book tour.
Yes. Yeah, it's a
Because
podcast tour.
That's the
yes.
other thing.
Yes.
If you're on Lewis Howes, you're on Diary of a CEO, you're on these big podcasts, even if they're not that big, you're building that's an hour you're spending with somebody, and you get the borrowed credibility
Yes.
from them. And then what happens is it looks like your Instagram's popping off and you're getting a bunch of views from your Instagram videos. But I think what's really happening is it's just spilling over. It's just spilling over. I think, again, YouTube, podcast, it has to be like a long form event is where you're building, like Cardone. I mean, do you think that his Instagram, even though he is like brash, but is it really like he's a master at posting Instagram content?
No.
Or do you think that he holds events where he sells out like the Marlins Stadium?
35,000
And then those 35,000 people have a good time and then they just follow him on Instagram.
Yeah, and also he spends, like you, an ungodly amount of ads. So, like, I also think people find him from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, and going back to the book, it's actually exactly what we were talking about earlier. You know, at one point I was writing the book. I was doing 2 YouTube videos a week. I was doing 6 hours of shorts a week for Instagram, and then I was doing all my other business stuff. And I got so burnt out that on July 1st, I was like, okay, Instagram, I hate it for so many reasons, and I'm going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And so I got back some of my time. And so now when we were just talking about, like, you know, am I going to do the Instagram thing again or not? And I was like, well, I have to kind of ask myself, like, do I want to do the Instagram thing again? Or do I want to take that same time and devote it towards writing a book or devoting it towards...
Or even a second channel.
A second YouTube
Yeah.
channel. So, like, those are the questions I ask myself are what's the highest return on my time or effort? And I am kind of actually, I have to tell you offline, but I did just have an agent who's done some huge books. I sent them a book proposal, and I have a meeting with them coming up very soon.
Nice.
Like some big books. You would know the books. So I am actually bullish on that. But the kind of the thing is that my book is about overall business, and I have this YouTube offer. So I have to like figure out
How to bridge it.
Yeah, is this a
Yeah.
side quest that's just going to have me be
I don't
famous
know.
and not go to YouTube?
I still think if people, like, even if only 10,000 people read the book, that's 10,000 like legit people
Fans.
you've converted.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's fair.
I think what we're gonna do on YouTube is we're starting a new channel that's our really broad focus of bringing in views. But then my current channel, which the best performing videos already are like that, are like I get like a 10,000 view video that's just like 55 minutes of objection handling scripts, like exactly how to do it. Or another video that worked really well was a 5-hour long sales course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that worked really well. I could do a 5-hour course on lead gen, right?
And you're just uploading or course
Well,
content.
what I did a series of YouTube videos, a 7-part series on sales. So I just combined them all in this 5-hour course. But the crazy thing about it, you launch it, first day, like, you know, it's like 1 out of 10 or whatever. It was like 0 out of 10. It was like off the 10. You know, it was like
20.
10 out of 10. It was like 10 worst, you know. It can't go lower than 10. And then the thing is, though, if it's content, you can tell. If it's content people save, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to study this.
Yeah.
It ends up, it'll stack a ton of views. Like my hour-long objections video, that's just like a long script of like a salesperson could refer back to that 100 times.
Yeah.
Like that, my other 5-hour sales course, those types of videos, anything I've created that's been highly valuable and long and very in-depth, no views in the beginning, but people will come back to it.
Well, I also think one of the things that we're very good at, and this is also what we're like doing with our clients now, is like, okay, maybe YouTube, if you start, you don't have a channel, there's no doubt that you could probably have faster velocity of growth on Instagram than you could on YouTube in the very beginning, because YouTube is harder. Getting a view on YouTube is worth 10 times more than it is on Instagram. Right. And so what we have been finding that works really well is like if you can create those videos, 5-hour courses, hour-long objection handlers, like I said, showcasing that you are the answer to this person's problems, and then you can infuse that into your current sales and marketing process. Like, so after they become a lead, you send them over a video for them to check out and watch on this thing. Like now, first of all, it doesn't feel like you're selling them because you're just sending them a YouTube link. They're not afraid to click on it and watch the video. And you're doing exactly what I said on that first principles basis, where you're getting them to consume more and more content from you. And so a lot of our YouTube calls, their first source in Hyros actually isn't YouTube. The first source are meta ads.
Yeah.
And then they become a lead. And then in our new subscriber sequence, we send 4 or 5 different emails. And then even our setters are trained, if they figure out a bottleneck and the person hasn't booked it yet, they have a list of a Google Doc. We actually turn it into a My GPT where they can say they have a problem around, I don't know, marketing or show up rate, and it'll drop a YouTube video link that has that solution inside of it. And then the other really fantastic thing about YouTube is once you watch a YouTube video, very similar to a metapixel, you're pixeled by YouTube. And so without a doubt, every single time I've tested this in an incognito window, when that person opens up YouTube again later on, the next day, whatever else it is, if you put out a video or had a video come out in the last 30 or 60 days, it's going to show that in the top discovery thing here. So now you've kind of kickstarted this person to watching you on YouTube, getting and becoming this viewer of yours. And we did that with a recent client. He was doing and I know you're gonna laugh at this because I was like, this is a dumb idea, but he had a 15x ROAS on this. He's a day trader, and he was doing a lead magnet for a free course. And then inside the free course, which was hosted on Go High Level, was a link to book a call to speak with them.
Okay.
I was like, dude, you need to turn this into a VSL. But ultimately, we try to do, if something's already working, we just try to make it better.
Yeah.
So I was like, what you should do, take that same course, put it on the thank you page after they opt in, and just make them all unlisted YouTube videos. And he did that, and he started creating YouTube content, and it's like business is absolutely taking off from that.
Wild,
yeah, because now they're not only getting all the content without having to log in or go high level portal and do all that stuff, but also YouTube is pixeling them, and then they're going on YouTube again and seeing some of their stuff later on.
That's wild. What do you think about, you know how Iman, what he did was all his YouTube videos point to one YouTube video? What do you think about that?
It's so hard. I talked to Iman about that in Dubai. We did that for 4 months, and it just didn't work for us.
I think it's a B2C thing, not a B2B thing.
I agree. I agree. 100%.
I think it's a B2C thing because it's a YouTube culture thing.
Yes.
Because if he sells hard, his
they're gonna
brand's
hop off.
going to get like toast.
Yes.
You know, not toast, but like I think that people will. You know how people are about selling courses on YouTube or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to get a little like, but that kind of pulls them down into the funnel where they can book a call. I think if you're B2B, it's just like, it's the same thing as like if you're B2B and you're running an ad, just run a direct ad and get to the point.
Yes.
I think it's kind of the same thing.
Well, it does a little bit lend to what you and I were just talking about, which is to have like that middle of funnel, like expert level content that converts them, and then maybe a higher level video that is not necessarily like going to be attracting your dream avatar, but it could get you more views. Like that's what whenever I did that TRT video and why I moved out of Miami, I then pointed that video over to one of my best performing videos, which is YouTube is now on easy mode for business owners in 2025. And so like we definitely got calls from people who were clicking on the TRT video because they were interested in TRT. And then because they're on YouTube and YouTube's hot, they see that watch this next video and then they go over there and then they book a call. And this is, you can't actually track that. This is anecdotal evidence from people on our sales calls.
Yeah.
One of the first things we asked them is that. So there is an argument to be made there, but for him, I think you're 1,000% right. I think it's like, he can't just come out and be like, SMA, SMA, SMA. So instead he does like, here's an epic vlog of me in the Maldives and like, oh yeah, by the way, here's this next video I have, and it sends them over there.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm thinking about, and I want your feedback on this, is so we have our current channel. I've kind of made it a little schizophrenic, like some are broad, some are not broad, some are make money, some are sales, some are business. But I'm thinking about just making that almost like, okay, here's my best just tactical business sales content, or like this conversation that's pretty tactical for business owners. Then the second channel is broad, so there's like a spillover.
Yeah.
But the broad one is like the messaging's so different that I feel like if I try to mix that into this, it'll kind of mess it up.
Yeah,
I'm curious what you think about that.
We did something similar. So I started a vlog channel. That was my quarterly rock last in Q2 of this year. I had to produce 8 vlogs with an average watch time of 8,000 hours each, and I actually hit that rock. First of all, it was just super hard, dude, vlogging all the time. Like, I was going to vlog when you came and visited us, but I was like, dude, the last thing I want to do when you and I are hanging out is like...
The vlog!
Yeah, like me having a camera home.
He's here!
Yeah, exactly. That's just not who you and I are. But the argument was exactly like what Iman and all these other guys do, which is like this other channel that brings a lot of traffic over to.
Yeah.
But then you also start looking at like the YouTube. So, you know, I think YouTube has 2 really important metrics, like watch time per impression. So how long are you keeping them on the platform on your specific channel? And then there's, I guess, how much you're keeping them on the platform in general. Like they might study like if they watch this one channel, they stay on the platform, even if it's like not your channel forever, or if they watch this one, they hop off immediately. Because I think ultimately they just want you to stay on the platform for as long as possible. So my only concern, because I'm always thinking in first principles, my only concern about the other channel was that like, I think that after studying so many YouTube channels and talking to so many people, watch time per channel is one of the most important metrics you can do. If YouTube shows an impression of your thumbnail and it knows that it's going to get this much watch time because after they watch this video, they watch this video and then this video and then this video, of course they're going to do that versus another thumbnail where they click on that and then they watch one video and then they bounce, right? Bounce channels, bounce somewhere else. So my only concern about doing the 2 channel thing where I wanted them to connect, like physically connect, where I would put the link in the description and maybe talk about it, was that it would be going against what YouTube ultimately wanted, which was measuring me on how much I was able to keep them watching my videos on my channel. There's no way YouTube's going to say, oh, these 2 channels
well,
are
I'm not going to link them.
Connect them, yeah. So you're just talking about spillover.
It's just going to be like,
a little bit spillover.
It's like if you like me enough, you'll find out about those small
other
channels.
So in that case, I do think it is a good idea.
Yeah.
If not for the fact that I think there's enough people that have now showed us that just getting a lot of views, if you actually have a lot of business acumen and savvy, you can almost always monetize that in some way.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the story, and I think I might have told you this, but Hormozi was telling me, because I asked him about this, I was like, because I know he likes to make the tactical content, but then he doesn't always make the tactical content. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, how do you intersect like following the YouTube rules of videos you know are going to rip and get views versus making something you want to make?
Yeah.
The first thing he said is he's like, I don't really enjoy content. I don't know anybody who makes the level of content I do, or even full-time content creators that like it. Like at some point, it just becomes a job.
Yeah.
Just suck it up.
Yeah.
He basically was like, stop being a pussy.
I kind of like that.
So he's basically like, and it kind of was nice because I was like, okay, great. I guess this guy who's connected with all these creators, because he's also in that space.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, to everybody, it's a job to an extent. So just stop being a puss. And I was like, thanks. I mean, that's kind of a nice. I'm like, okay. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be something that's like flowy and amazing. Okay, it's just like anything else you do in life.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. But the second thing he said was he was telling a story about essentially this fitness video that he put out. It was the protein cooking video. I actually watched it, which is kind of funny. Yeah. I actually watched this video, which I don't know why I did, but I did. And he was like, I didn't want to make the video. The only reason I made it is because like I walked into the studio and they already had it set up. And they just like ambushed me. And they were like, you got to make this video. So he's like, I'm visibly pissed making the video. And then he's like, we launched the video. rips like 8 million views.
Oh my God.
And he was like, dude, it's one of our highest performing revenue generating videos of all time.
Wow.
And so I'm like, if a protein cooking video can be revenue generating, then, and like we talked about, I think that we look at some broad videos and we're like, dude, like we would never watch that. Like, what is this slop? You know? But I think there's just people out there who do.
And in everyone else's defense, you and I both did watch that video.
I know.
And I will also say, what does Hormozi have? Exactly what I talked about earlier. His first 100, 200 videos were
super tactical.
Super tactical. Him in
and
a
he also has
fucking office.
books that are super tactical.
And exactly. So like, I think a lot of people miss the middle of funnel element.
And his podcast is more tactical.
Yes. Well, his podcast ended up just being YouTube videos.
It is. Well, last I checked, I don't log into Apple or Spotify enough to know, but I went through a phase of, I used to watch all of his YouTube videos, and then I switched to just watching his podcast because his podcast is more tactical.
So is it different than his YouTube?
I thought it was, but he could have changed that.
So this is years ago, because you're right, dude. I have a lot of respect, obviously, for Layla and Alex. I used to listen to every one of his videos like the day it came out. When he was doing that tactical stuff. I was like, this is so good. But then once he started going broader,
it's like, okay, I don't know if I need the 15 brutal truths.
Exactly. I don't know if I need watch this to get rich in 2025. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
how to go to 0 to 1 million?
Yeah. So right. I stopped unfortunately watching them, and obviously he doesn't care. But like I realized that. Like it was, so that's, I don't know, it's so hard, but I will still go back, and sometimes I'll get served on YouTube a video that he made 2 or 3 years ago, and it'll be about a topic that's like in depth in business that I was just watching about. The other great thing about YouTube algorithm is how long your videos last. So like, it's so funny because I look at the date as the last thing there, but let's say it's close rates. I'm like watching a YouTube video somebody else. This is a great example. I'm watching a YouTube video somebody else posted a week ago on how to increase your close rates. Next time I'm on YouTube, because I watched Alex Hormozi's content previously, it will now cross-reference. He likes Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi had a video about how to increase close rates. And even though it's 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it will then show me that Alex Hormozi video about how to increase your close rates.
Yeah.
So it's the nice thing is like, it's almost like even if you have an older video that's like an asset bank, even if other people are producing videos today, that can actually help you get views to your video by the way that they're categorizing it in the past.
Yeah.
So I bet you that he still gets a bunch of, either ticket sales or private equity clients, whatever else it is, from not his newest videos. I bet you it's also
old ones. When people go down the rabbit hole and they binge.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So you said YouTube DMs are coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're ripping it out here. So,
But the announcement from the YouTube man himself.
Yes, yeah. Well, I know one person that told me that he was invited into the beta group into YouTube DMs.
Yeah.
So I have not verified this myself, but he came to my house a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about YouTube, and he was like, dude, can you believe they're coming out with that? And then he told me that they invited him onto this closed beta, and yeah, apparently, very similar to Instagram and other platforms, you're going to now, which does make sense. It does feel like an evolution of the platform.
It's natural that it's going to happen,
exactly.
and we're all going to ruin it.
We're all going
to ruin it.
We are all.
Our setters will be in those DMs.
We just got to pray to God that they don't do paid ad DM setting, because then it's game over, or if they keep the automation to a minimum. But I was literally just saying how one of the reasons why I love YouTube is because I'm not getting a DM. I'll edit your videos for free. I'll set for you for free. I'm a closer. Are you looking for a closer? Like, I actually get peace and quiet when I get on the platform. So, but Google knows what they're doing. And so ultimately, I know that they've rolled out stuff that they've also retracted after they've tested it out.
Yeah.
And so who knows? I don't know if it'll go full blown out. We'll see what happens.
I hope it goes out.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, it's like when you log into LinkedIn, dude. It's almost
my God, dude. I can't even tell you the last time I logged into LinkedIn.
Actually, what's funny is I put a setter in my LinkedIn, and when people reach out to me and they're like, they'll be like, hey, some networking question to try to. My setter just tries to set them. And actually, we've gotten some sets.
Some sets from it.
And the weird thing is, too, is so I like writing. I wish there was a better platform. I mean, I guess there's X, but I think I messed up my X. So this is interesting. I don't know, and this will sound like an excuse for bad content, but here's a brief synopsis. Never used X in my entire life, or Twitter or whatever. So then I download it. I just follow, I go into Hormozi's profile. Okay, follow him. Kind of follow a few people I know. Then I'm like, okay, who does who follows Hormozi, so I can see like, okay, yeah, I know this person. So I build like 100, like I follow 100 people or something. So my feed is like all industry specific. Then I start posting, and I immediately am getting like 3,000 to 5,000 impressions a tweet or a X post or whatever you call it nowadays. Then I did a post about meeting with Patrick Bet-David and the top 7 lessons I learned. He retweeted it, so I got 500K on that one.
Wow.
Then after that, I was getting 10 to 20 a post. And then after a while, I'm like, why am I doing this? So I just stopped.
Yeah.
And then because of the election, I started like and X is mainly like the main
Political.
niche thing is a political thing.
Yeah.
So I started like consuming more. I'm like, oh, okay, there's kind of utility for this. So, because one thing nice about X is if you are interested in the news, you can open it, get the news in 5 minutes, and then you can get out.
Yeah, that's
right. Other than that, it's kind of toxic.
Yeah.
So now my whole feed's news. So then that goes on for like 2 years. Then I go back and posting on X, 50 impressions a tweet.
Wow.
And so I'm like, this is weird. I was like, oh, maybe it's because I just haven't done it for a while. So like I take a post that crushed it on Facebook, and then I repost it on X, 50 impressions, 100 impressions. And so I'm like, and granted, I haven't like hit it that hard, but I ended up ChatGPTing it, and I was like, is there any possibility that essentially what you engage with on X can influence the engagement on your posts?
Yeah.
And it said X is every platform has a degree of that built into their algorithm. This is what ChatGPT said. Who knows if it's true? Every platform has a degree of that built into their algorithm, but X is the most sensitive because it's kind of
Wow.
like a town square thing where it like interest graphs who you're engaging with, and even if you don't like the post, how much time you spend like looking at the post
Yeah.
or watching the video. And then it tries to serve the content to those people. And what's weird is as soon as I started posting sales stuff, without even following anybody different, I also started to see more sales content in the feed. And so that I might have to start a new X profile, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
dude.
the thing is, I really like writing. And so I've been trying to like post a little bit more on Facebook, which I've let go of for like ever. But dude, I used to do like rip off Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, you used to.
I used to do like
I
400
think
or
your whole
500 grand a
business
month.
was built off
400 or
it.
500 grand a month
Yeah,
on
on
Facebook.
Facebook,
So I'm
yeah.
like, maybe I should, another 400 or 500 grand a month
Would
would
be
be
nice,
nice.
yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I should start doing that again. So I start doing that, and I mean, I actually because now they have Facebook Professional. So you go professional mode, you can see all your analytics,
Oh,
and
I
I'll
didn't know
get
that.
like 5,000 to 10,000 impressions just starting from cold again. 5,000 to 10,000 impressions per written post, and these are like tactical business posts,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice. Like that's like, okay, great. Some people actually like my business thoughts.
Yeah.
And then but this is why I was bringing it up. Reposted on LinkedIn, same metrics. And I've never put anything into LinkedIn. So I think LinkedIn could be, because I like writing.
Yeah.
So it could be a little bit of a sleeper. I don't know.
I don't know. Whenever I open up LinkedIn,
You wanna kill yourself.
All I see in my DMs is people trying to sell me on LinkedIn lead gen services.
Yeah,
like,
I'm going to lead gen those people and sell them.
well, you will because you are talented, but everybody else, they're not as. We're gonna call you spin zone. You can take somebody who's selling you and you turn around and sell them right back again.
I'll tell you a story. We lead gen the guy off LinkedIn, and I watched the call with my sales rep because you'll understand why. And the guy's like, he's like, okay, man, so like, tell me about your business. He thinks it's a sales call for him. And my rep's like, yo, dude, like, I'm not like the owner of this business. Like, I reached out to you, or like, you reached out to us with this message. Here's the conversation. We wanted to know about this. And so they go to this, they go in circles for like 20 minutes trying to basically
Sell
hold,
the-
like,
hold the frame.
who's going to be the one? And the guy just goes like, so my sales rep kind of gives him an elevator pitch. And the guy's like, yeah, fuck it. Let's just have a conversation. The guy piffs. Oh, wow. I'm not even kidding. And we were like, and then, at the time we were using a different provider for LinkedIn lead generation. And the guy sends me the call and he was like, has the audacity to be like, every one of your reps should handle the call like this. And I'm like, buddy, are you serious? Like, you lead gen somebody who tried to sell one of my reps. And my rep turned it around and piffed the guy.
Well, the thing about LinkedIn, though, is that I do feel like the issue, I think they screwed themselves very early on because with the creation of Sales Navigator,
bad.
they almost like welcomed this just flood of DMs every single day
It's brutal, yeah.
before any other platform did that. They like promoted it. Then they try to come back and say, oh, no, we're going to limit the amount of messages that you can send every single day, which I was reading somewhere that just dropped their sales nav, recurring revenue, substantially when that happened. And so like, I feel like it's this weird platform with weird energy, and all the people on there are like, I don't know, just like, what's the word? It's like a status signaling each other. And like, but you know what I would love to see from you? I think you should go deep on YouTube. There's no doubt we're all talking that's the move. I think you should take all that extra energy instead of putting it elsewhere. I think you should write a book.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think instead of messing around, like if you think of the actual thing that's going to be the highest return on your time and the biggest long tail, I think you should write a book.
It's either the events, book, and just it's like you said, like, oh, I could do that, or I could just start another channel.
Yeah,
you're right. I do enjoy writing, though.
That's what I'm saying. You love writing. I think you're great at writing, and you have a bunch of knowledge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't just write a book.
And honestly, it's already kind of written. It's like in the course.
It's so funny. When I wrote my book, all I did is I took my 415 YouTube videos. There's actually, I don't know if you knew this, but there's a Google API where in literally 5 seconds you can have all of your YouTube videos and their transcriptions in a Google Sheet. So that's what I did. I did all of that in 5 seconds, and I've never coded a thing in my life. I just used ChatGPT to help me do that. And so I used that, and then all of my course content with all of my Google Docs. Yeah. And that was the basis of how I wrote my book.
Yeah, and that's one thing nice about doing your course content on the Google Docs.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I actually got that from you.
Dude, I will say I actually got it from Nick Cosman.
Fair enough. Okay.
I got it from him, but then I went through his course. And I just wanted to see, okay, is there anything I could learn, et cetera. But the one thing I would say, actually the main thing I got from it is I was like, why am I trying to build these complex slideshow presentations? Yeah. And then I'm like, if I just put people want the SOP. So let me just write it on a Google Doc. Yeah. And then boom, there you go. And then you just press record. And you'd be surprised how many people, like I was in an event and somebody came up to me, dude, I took your program, was amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, dude, one of the things I loved most about it is I was making these high production course videos, and now I just do it in Google Docs.
Google Docs, yeah. It makes it 100 times easier. And going back to, so here's actually a great lesson for everyone here. Going back to the YouTube videos, some of my best performing YouTube videos were just course modules, individual course modules that I would do on how to create an onboarding process, how to optimize your client fulfillment, whatever else it is. Boring videos. But there'd be like an hour and 30 minutes long. Yeah. And they'd have a Google Doc attached to it. And so all I would do was I would literally, and this is honestly when I was kind of being lazy about YouTube, I would just film a mid-roll and an end CTA with me in totally different clothes in different location. I'd be like, hey, if you're enjoying this video so far and you want this exact Google Doc that I'm referencing, go down below and click the link, and you can get instant access to it. Yeah. And I was telling you earlier that we were averaging 15% view to lead ratio. So that was bringing in a crazy, and so I took an asset I already had, which is the Google Doc, and the video I already had, which is the course module, and I put it on YouTube, and it was huge.
And you know how you never want to update, like, your product in terms of your course always needs updated. Yes. And you never want to do it. Yeah. I just had a breakthrough. Because like the nice thing, this isn't, for me, my clients buy for the recruits. Exactly. Right? Or they buy for like the done for you marketing implementation. Yes. So they're not going to, if you sold pure information, this would kind of, I think, be a little bit unethical. But like the biggest motivation, I actually thought of this on the podcast and I was like, I got to write this down. Biggest motivation I have to redo the course is like, for instance, our setter portion needs redone. I'm just going to launch a freaking 6-hour course on YouTube. Yes. That just explains everything about it. It'll be 10 out of 10. But I guarantee, number one, it'll get probably 5,000 to 10,000 views over 2 years. And those will be the most high quality views people on my more niche channel. Yes. And I'll do that instead of LinkedIn.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And you brought up a really good point, which is also why we shifted from the pure consulting to the DFY YouTube, was because I just think information is getting more and more commoditized. It's devalued. With AI, like you and I were just talking about how we just almost don't even ever read books anymore because we just ask ChatGPT.
I'm big back into books.
Are you?
But I don't read as much. I actually haven't told you this yet. So I don't read the typical, like what's a great example? Like Nassim Taleb. I mean, that's actually a good book, but like the typical nonfiction business book, like something about running a team
Yeah.
or the 1 Minute Manager. I've actually, and I was inspired by the Founders podcast, is entrepreneurial biographies. And then I got into political history and political biographies. So the way I got into this is I was listening to the My First Million podcast, and they brought up this book called The Power Broker, and it's about Robert Moses in New York. And so this guy is basically, at one point from the 1900s to the 1940s, was the entire deep state in New York. He held 9 or 11 unelected bureaucratic positions at one time where he had complete control. He had control of all the tolls. So in like the early 1900s, his departments collectively were bringing in over $200 million a year, which he was using as his personal piggy bank.
Oh my God.
And so he was so powerful, even when FDR was governor, he couldn't remove him from office. When like every single mayor, he saw mayors come and go. Every mayor said he was going to take away his power, couldn't do anything. He had so much leverage on the mayors. So like he was literally the entire deep state of New York. So anyways, how he wielded power and used it and all these things, it's just insanely fascinating. So anyways, I heard about this book several different times, but then Sam Parr mentioned it on the My First Million podcast and was like, it's actually one of the best biographies ever written. So I was like, I haven't been into reading books for a while. I've been doing this ChatGPT thing where I just do a lot of research. I'm going to read this book. Read it. It's by Robert Caro. It was phenomenal.
Really?
Like I read this 1,000-page plus book in like a week. That's how good it was. And then so after that, he has these 4-part series. It's actually a 5-part series, but he hasn't released the 5th book yet, on Lyndon B. Johnson. They're each 1,200 pages.
Oh my God.
On just Lyndon B. Johnson. So Lyndon B. Johnson is one of the best wielders of power. He's the most effective legislator of all time. He essentially, so back in that day, in the Senate, like this is just one of the many, many things. But in the Senate, essentially, he was now if you're a Senate majority leader, like Chuck Schumer or whatever, like you're a known person, you have a lot of power, etc. Back then it was a joke. He was the first person to flip it into a power center and basically pass massive amounts of legislation, and the first civil rights since Reconstruction, and then again as president, etc. So he's an extremely effective legislator, extremely corrupt, stole elections, all sorts of crazy stuff. Not a good person, but a very complex person. Did some good things for people, but was like insanely narcissistic and pretty much, like most politicians, like what you would imagine, like a watered down version of House of Cards.
Yeah.
And so, anyways. It's also written by Robert Caro. So I read this Power Broker book, and I'm like, I'm going to get into these other books. I crushed all 4 1,200-page books in 30 days.
Well, I think that, and
I know what you were thinking is, so how does that help you in like your business?
Yeah.
It doesn't really help in my business.
I think it does a little bit though.
It may, but like, I really read it for entertainment, and I will tell you how it helped in my business. I noticed, I already don't do like short form content and consumption. But like I was sitting down and reading this book for 90 minutes at a time. I did notice my attention span during deep work.
That's what I
was phenomenally
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. I think it forces you. I couldn't agree more. And I do think we have to address the fact that we were like, you should write a book. Books are good. And then we were like, oh, we don't really read books. So I do think that also has to be addressed. But I agree with you in the sense that even if you read like fiction books, even if you had to go down that rabbit hole, I do think that it's net positive if you were to replace time that you were doom scrolling on Instagram.
And let me put it this way. It's like, look, you can't, even if, especially if you're in a like relationship or something, obviously you're not going to work 16 hours a day and have no life. But, at the end of the day, you got to do something to wind down right before you go to sleep.
Yes.
Right? And so you could watch Netflix, you could watch TV, or worse, you could like doom scroll or be on social media or whatever. But this is like, out of all the things you could do to wind down, this is, I think, by far the best thing you could do. And it's just entertainment. You do learn interesting stuff. And I really want to start learning about, what would actually help is, like, imagine if you had read what David said. Have you listened to the Founders podcast?
Yeah.
Like, that guy has, like, such a wealth of knowledge and so many ideas and that podcast is actually, like, I learned stuff from that podcast.
Sure.
So I want to go down a whole I got down this political history rabbit hole. So I just finished a book on the Great Depression. And so in that book, I will tell you, you ever read a book and you get halfway through the first chapter and you're like, I'm sure this is good, but this is written so densely that like I'm draining I just powered through all again, 1,000 pages. And it was really fascinating, but it does just help your attention span. And then once you get into it, it's interesting.
I also started, as kind of a funny side note, but I also started so I read on Kindle, which I think you do as well.
So what helped me? I have to read on Kindle and listen to it at the same time.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that. Which
That
I
actually,
think that's a trait of a psychopath.
You have,
I think,
well, I just helps so much, especially with these highly dense books.
I tried to do that, and I could not keep rate with how fast was going in my ear and what was happening.
You gotta take your ego down a little bit and put it at 1.5x. Here's what you gotta do. When you chapter 1, you gotta take your ego down a little bit, and you're like, all right, 1.5x. Then as you start to like get because you know how it is with most books, the thesis you get in the first 2 chapters.
Yeah, then it becomes easier.
Once you get that, I'll speed it up. It also depends. Some narrators, they talk faster than others. So like the Great Depression book, I had to listen at 2. But the Lyndon B. Johnson one, I could listen at 3 or 3.5.
I actually, as a funny thing, I forgot where we were recently. I think we were at my house, but we both were listening to videos or watching something at the same time. And I think we both listen on I pay for YouTube Premium, so I get 3x or 3.5x. And I think we both were listening to
just maxed out.
It was like
yeah, I was just reading the captions.
Yeah, exactly. My fiance's like, how do either of you understand what's going on? But I do. What I was saying was that I leave a Kindle in my bathroom, so that when I go to the bathroom, instead of pulling out my phone every single time,
yeah, it's smart.
I just read a couple of pages of a book. That also helps. And so I have this app called 1 Sec, and whenever you click Instagram or YouTube for me, it makes you wait for 5 seconds or 7 seconds,
and
then
you
it
remember.
says, do you still want to do this? Yes or no? Which
I
was
should
huge.
download that.
That was huge. It literally took my usage down like 80%. But now I don't even open it because I have the book thing. But the other thing I think is important is that books are so powerful because, first of all, you don't even have to read somebody's book. And if you know that they wrote a book and that it was decently good, they automatically have a higher status in your mind, and especially in general population. Like you and I might not see it as like, oh wow, this is like this
to the Gen Pop, they're like, he wrote a book.
Exactly, it's like the news. It's like the people that watch the news also see like people that write books as essentially gods.
What's interesting, because probably back in the day, to write a book, it's like almost like to publish music.
Exactly,
it's like you had to already be at a certain level of status. Yeah, that makes
so I think that even if you write a book and like a lot of people don't read it, but you then leverage it just like YouTube, if you don't get a lot of views, but you leverage it in your marketing material, on your funnels, on your sales calls, I still think it could be incredibly powerful. And even though we don't read as much as we used to, like you had just said, if we do find a really good book and we love it, like there's probably not a lot of other things that will take you away from work for like what you just described, where you read a 1,000-page book in 1 week. And so now you're just promoting that guy and that book on this podcast right now, and obviously everyone that watches this podcast loves you. So now they might go out and buy it. I mean, I don't think I'm going to buy it, but they're going to go out and buy it and read it. And so I do think that long form format, like, dude, you just spent, I don't know how long it took you to read 1,000 pages or 1,200 pages of this dense book, but it's like, imagine if that guy was then selling something. You'd probably
buy it.
Yeah,
I'd probably go to an event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I probably would. So let me tell you, because I've been saving it for here, about the Hormozi thing.
Yes.
So $225,000, went to Hormozi's office. So I got a call with Hormozi, so I could just like talk to him about whatever I wanted. And then it was an event with other 10 people who spent $225,000. So number one, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll just roll through a few things. But first of all, the dude's gym is unbelievable.
It's at his office?
In the basement.
Okay.
It's the best. I mean, it's not like aesthetic or something, right? In terms of the equipment, it was so good that when I got back, I was like kind of depressed. I didn't work out for 3 days. I'm not even kidding. Because, so first of all, the machines are pneumatic, so they're based on air pressure. So like imagine you're doing like a chest press machine. So it's like constant pressure at every part of the range of motion. And like, it's like there's a button on each side. So as you're going, you can just decrease the pressure. And so like you get to your last rep and you're stuck, you decrease the pressure, you do another rep, decrease the pressure. Because, you know, it's like with the drop set, you got to like,
change it.
You know, and then you kind of feel like a bro at a gym, like drop setting, you know, it's just like, who does that, right? It's like, I'm not doing that, you know, like, it's, see ya, you know, but with that, it's like, so every single, like, the set quality was insane. Every single machine he had was literally the best machine I've ever used. Like, he had this good morning machine to where at the top, when you're contracting in a good morning, it's like you feel it in like your upper back, your glutes, your lower back, your hamstring. I mean, it was like a all posterior chain, just complete. It was insane. Then he also had these cables that were based on magnetic resistance. I don't know how this worked, but you would do one rep and would basically measure your strength curve. So for instance, in like a row, you're much stronger here, and I think you're weaker here, or maybe it's the opposite, I forget. But whatever. Like, obviously when you pull, you're not strong all the way through.
Yeah.
So this would measure your strength curve so that it would like lower the weight and increase the weight when you were stronger versus weaker.
Wow.
And so then like I did a row, like my last rep looked like this. It was like just the slowest 1 rep max. Imagine doing a 1 rep max on a 1-arm cable row.
Yeah, that's insane.
It was insane. So that actually was badass. But I had to write down my
Did he say how much he spent on the gym?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it was a lot. But like there was a guy there who's a vlogger, like a really big gym vlogger. And the next morning I worked out there again, and he like came up to the team and he was like, "Do you guys realize this is maybe the nicest gym of all time?
Really?
Like, you guys know how good you have it."
I think that's, or we won't have to go down that rabbit hole, but I think that that's one of the best investments you could probably make once you get some serious money is like building a $2 million personal gym.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think like I like going to Hive and,
going
working
to a
out
place,
and stuff.
yeah.
But I will say, here's where the ROI is the team's always in the gym at 5 a.m.
Exactly.
And so like I met all his, not all of his sales guys, but I met like some sales guys and some people who do this and do that, and they're like bonding in the gym.
Yeah.
And it just creates like a good
culture.
environment
Yeah, I
where
like
you want to
that.
show up and work out in the morning.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. So aside from that, you'll find this interesting because, you know, we both thought about the private equity stuff. So I asked him about this, and this is something I've always thought is like, okay, if you want to go buy a company doing $1 million, $3 million, $5 million, $1 million EBITDA or 500K EBITDA, and get 2 or 3 of those, essentially you're creating yourself like a job.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's like what Cody Sanchez teaches. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're in our position, that's like kind of a step backwards, not a step forwards.
Yes.
And so the thing I was asking him about, I'm like, how do you think about these acquisitions? Because I'm like, it seems like to me, if you're below a company doing 10 million a year, probably even 20 million a year, it's like you could probably, unless they have a unique strategic advantage or a moat in place, you could probably just build that company yourself, right? So then like the only companies worth buying are probably companies doing 30 to 100 million a year, a lot of EBITDA, great profit margins, amazing team, which means you got to pay a shitload
Yeah,
of money.
because they don't need to sell.
Right? And what he said is he's like, basically 100% agree. He's like, buying and trying to grow small companies is retarded because the reason they're small is because the people just aren't that good. Okay? The companies that are worth buying, you need a fuckload of money. So you need like, you're going to have to probably take out a big loan, raise a bunch of money. You got to buy. The other thing is unless it's an extraordinary founder, which is very rare, it's like, he's like, in my position, if you, and you've worked with people before, if you don't have full control, it ends up being a problem, right? And so the thing is either you got to get full control and then put in a great CEO, or it's like you got to somehow come across this extraordinary founder who wants to give you a part of his company.
Yeah.
But if he's truly extraordinary, he probably doesn't even need to do that.
Yes.
And so what was funny is he said the majority of his deal flow really comes from, even with all of his content and all the things and the events and all this stuff. I'm sure some come from that, but he's like, my best deals literally just come from my personal network.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. Like,
But
Yeah.
an argument can be made, and I don't know, but was his personal network also bolstered from the content?
well, of
though?
course. Yeah. So it's all an ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like, he is who he is because of that. But the point, and the other thing he told me is he's like, the consulting for equity thing is just like bullshit.
Really?
He's like, it's a complete waste of time.
Really?
He's like, I've seen 1 million people try it. He's like, I've done it. It's a waste of time. Don't fucking do it. You know, either like you got to go big and acquire. I mean, if you look at the private equity people who like really destroy,
Yeah,
they're
just
acquiring
spend money.
big companies, right? Or, I mean, so it's like either you got to start and grow a big company and a big brand, and you could do that through roll-ups. That's a whole different thing if you're doing kind of the Brad Jacobs playbook. Or it's like you got to just buy like a legit company. Or for him, like in the school deal, he's not going to have a majority position. Most likely, I don't think he does. But he can add massive value add to something that's infinitely scalable with also an insane founder.
Yeah.
Sam Evans, you know? So that was the big thing I got from that.
So he was saying that, because I even remember, and it's almost like they took the video down or something, but he walked through, it was this podcast. I remember I was at the gym when I was listening to it. This is years ago, 4 years ago. And they were saying it was like their first year, and they were actually walking through the statistics of what this is the first year or 2 years after they launched acquisition.com. And they were walking through the stats of what the average results were, blah, blah, blah. And I remember hearing then that they were just like, yeah, we're no longer taking minority stakes.
Yeah.
We're no longer doing anybody less than like $5 million a year or something like that.
Right.
And that's when it started making more sense to me. And yeah, it's funny because I think you and I both knew that, but then it also took us doing it.
Yeah, you
got
to
the case.
You got to do it and then be like, okay, this is stupid.
This is the dumbest
It's kind of
thing
similar
ever.
too. It's like I think from the conversation I had is that pretty much all the companies crush, but like if you're him with everything he has going on now, if he takes you from 5 to 25, you're probably elated and you're like, dude, I've made it.
Yeah, for him, it's absolutely
And for him, he's like, great.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, this was just a liability.
Yeah.
You know, so I would imagine probably what he's looking into is like buying something that's doing, his level, probably like 100 to 150 million. And the thing is, those companies also have a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of inefficiency. And then, you can, and also it's like anything, the bigger the vision, the easier it is to recruit. So then it's like his brand combined with a massive company like that with maybe $1 billion potential. He can recruit a CEO in there that actually is a savage, and then they could run the playbooks, but he has the majority control.
And was he saying that he was going to keep it as like a family office, his own money kind of thing when he gets in those numbers, or is he going to try to start raising?
I don't think he needs to raise.
I mean, do you buy $100 million?
Well, he just did a $100 million launch.
Well, that's true.
So,
He's
but
got
I
100
think
million laying around. We know that.
I don't know for sure. I think if he raises, it would be more to have the track record of raising.
Yeah.
And being able, because maybe I don't know. This is not anything he told me, FYI, but like I would imagine for him, if he raises, it's more to, let's say he wants to raise 10 years down the road. He can point to, I raised here, raised here, raised here, raised here. Look at their returns.
Yeah.
So if he's trying to raise for a $500 million acquisition, that's where it makes sense.
I mean, he doesn't need the money at this point. So yeah, I think it would just be like so he can start having bigger and bigger wins.
Next thing, the main reason I went was asking about media and content and all that stuff. Obviously, this is probably not news to you or anybody, but like the number one thing he asked me was like, okay, how much do you spend on content? And I was like, $1K a month. $1K a month. And then he's like, okay, I spend like 500x that. And, it should be a third of your spend, whatever. But I kind of knew going in, okay, I probably need
a third of your overall
marketing spend.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so anyways, I knew I probably needed to increase the budget on that. But that wasn't the thing that really surprised me was he was like, well, how much time do you spend on it? And he was like, I was like, I don't know, 2 hours a week. And he's like, dude, I spend 25 hours a week on content. And like, you think about that. So he's way richer and more successful and way busier and has way more opportunities than us and can probably try it less hard on content now. And it's still just rip 25 hours a week.
Yeah.
That was the big shift for me. Yeah. I was like, okay.
You kind of
makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's all in pre, I mean, obviously filming is filming, but it's just all in the pre-work. And so then I'll tell you who this was after, cause it's not that big of a deal, but he was talking about somebody else who's really big now, and they were having dinner, and the person was bragging like, dude, I got my content so optimized down that like it's taken me like 2 hours a week to get like 90 days of content and my 4 YouTube videos a week. And he was just like, yeah, bro, it shows. It's like, was that supposed to be a brag? Because like I do 1,000x your views.
Hormozi is 1,000x this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And the guy just was like, but it'll blow your mind who that actually was. You'll be like, damn, that's actually good. So a lot of the stuff we talked about that was really good. And let me just say this before is like, dude, go into their office and I mean, this is just, and I'm not somebody who normally would probably say this, but like going to their office, seeing the quality of their team, the quality of their media production, the gym, and just like also just hearing their vision of the company and stuff. I'm like, it was inspiring. Like it was like, damn, like this is like fucking insane. Like, you can just, it's obvious why they're doing so well. So that was one thing. But
So is that an argument towards an in-person office?
no,
Is that what you're
so
saying?
I think, and I think he said this publicly, but I asked him about this, and his recommendation was, get going on the content, build that up. Once it makes sense, because I told him about the event idea, doing 2 events a month, one for RCA, one for SDA. He's like, that definitely do that. He's like, that's good. And he's like, once it makes sense, because that's obviously going to cost money doing it other places, the first step of your office really should be Media HQ, to where you have your key media people and maybe some key executives in the office. And then like build space for people to relocate. You work there, build space for people to come, but don't make it mandatory because it constrains recruiting too much. And so he was a proponent of hybrid.
Yeah.
And then essentially and I think it makes sense. It's like, if I'm spending, let's say, $15K a month hosting these events, eventually once it gets rolling and I got the media team here, I'm like, okay, let's just get a lease somewhere. I get the lease. Okay, we build out the podcast studio. We build out the YouTube studio. We build out whatever the event.
It almost makes
space.
sense probably for you right now. If you think about the amount of content that you're about to start doing.
But the thing is, so me and Nolan looked into it. The thing is it's not the lease, it's the build out. So we didn't want to distract ourselves with 3 months and probably $150K of build out.
That's fair.
When we're not even like, prior to working with Nolan and prior to working with the media people we hired on our team just in the last 30 days, like after that, I was like, yeah, my effort level is like 1 out of 10 on this. Yeah. So I'm like, let me like get to a 10 out of 10 effort level and start to see some ROI from this, and also like get in a rhythm with producing the most important thing, which is the content, and doing the events. And then it also informed me on what type of office we need.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because I might not even know I don't know, I might get an office for 60 people events. I might promote one of these and get 100 people. Like, who knows what's going to happen? So I think it would make sense to do it that way.
I remember, to give him credit, Ryan Pineda, we both know him. I was on his podcast, and I remember when I went to his office, that was one of the first times where I was like, man, first of all, he puts out an insane amount of content.
Yeah.
And second of all, he does events probably more, maybe other than Pace Morby, more than almost anybody I know, either live in-person events or he does hybrid events. And that's when, so he's a cool office setup where, exactly like you said, media team is there, studio is there, and then he also has a stage with, I don't know, don't quote me, but like 100 seats. And so what he'll do is he'll host events and he'll have like sell 100 seats in person or whatever. And then he'll have he has the setup in studio for it to be an epic live experience, like online.
Yeah.
So that's also another great
streaming.
idea. Streaming it. That's another great idea, is have the setup where, because some people can do a streaming thing or a live thing, but it just looks like shit.
Yeah.
But if you were able to actually have like the VI, and he was saying like, I forgot who he was quoting, but somebody else was doing this, where like you could literally have big name speakers come to this event and speak in front of these 100 people, but also speak to all of these tens of thousands of people live.
Yeah.
And so that was one in my head. I actually started looking at office space in Miami.
When we do get the Media HQ, that's the one I'm modeling.
Yes.
It's his.
Really? Yeah.
I literally did a pod with him the day before I went to Hormozi's office. I did a pod with Ryan because I was like, I want to do it. I was like, dude, we need to do a pod. It's been so long. And at the same time, I was like, dude, I just want to see your office.
Yeah.
And because like I'm not gonna get a Hormozi level office.
Yeah, and he does a good job at his. I actually like that.
Yeah, I like it too. So a lot of the other stuff was, kind of for probably the purposes of like content stuff, like pretty boring in the sense of it was like really good leadership stuff. So anytime they write we started implementing this. It's sick. Is anytime they have like a new company initiative or like it's a bigger project, they force their executive team to put it on a memo. So a memo is like, it covers why is it important, what is it, what's the strategy, how does it actually work, and what do we do now? And so it forces your team, because you ever have a teammate come on the meeting and they're like, dude, we got to do this. This is an idea. And then they just like haven't even thought it out well. It forces them to put it on paper, because when they put it on paper, number one, it makes them get clear on their thinking. It also makes you see how clear they are on their thinking.
Yeah,
and a lot of times when you force them to put it in a memo, they realize it's kind of stupid and they just don't even do it. And then you don't have to talk about it in a meeting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is then once it's on a memo, everybody reads and comments on the memo. Then you just get on a meeting to talk about the next steps, and it eliminates 90% of the stuff. So then I kind of implemented a little bit of this in our offsite. And dude, our new offsite structure, we got 90% of the work done in the pre-work. And then we got on, we just clarified like several things. We literally got done in like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And it was like, my entire team was like, oh my God, this is the best thing we've ever done. We're not exhausted. We're super clear. Everybody got their question answered. So
I think that's actually a good point,
Yeah.
because we started doing that for our quarterly planning, which is obviously like your offsite, but we started having people come with the stuff that we would discuss and talk about there. It was like the quarterly planning meeting was really just to confirm and for maybe somebody else to challenge that idea. And exact same thing happened. It was like our meetings went from 8 hours to 4.5 hours. And like you
Yeah.
said, everybody was like, oh my God, I'm not leaving this. Because also when you're 7 hours into an 8-hour meeting, there's not quality decisions being made at that point. You're just trying to get the ball across the line. So I think the prep part of anything, I mean, he says, like, you'd be surprised what 15 minutes of prep can do, but for content, for that stuff, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the other stuff was like, hey, here's my plan. Is this a good plan? Right? So the 2 events a month as the base of like a content type of thing, and even doing the live streaming of that, really liked that. The other big thing that I just wrote a memo about yesterday is, we only serve really like online service-based businesses who need sales reps. And that's like this much market. So I was walking through like, okay, when we want to go broader, what's the best way to do that? And I kind of walked them through my plan. Basically, it just confirmed the plan I already had, but like the one thing we're going to test that I thought was really good was, he said what is working really well for them right now is running essentially, like let's say, okay, my broad angle for sales reps, giving sales reps to companies doing over 10 million a year or whatever it is, could be 30 or 40 different industries. He's like, you should literally just write 30 to 40 plus specific ads for each of those industries and just load them up into Andromeda with the new update. And he's like, it's going to rip.
And same funnel?
Open targeting.
Same funnel?
I think so, yeah. He's like open targeting, just like very, very, very specific, all driving to the same funnel. But so it calls, because he said even open targeting, it's crazy how specific it is.
And put them all in the same, not to get too technical, but put them all in the same campaign?
I'm going to try that, yes.
And did you guys
see
talk?
what spends.
Did you guys talk about going enterprise?
Well, so when I've been calling going broader and going bigger my enterprise initiative. It's really not enterprise.
Yeah, it's really just going broader.
It's really just going lower middle market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to go broad like to anybody, because to these other industries, for me, it's like if you're hiring your first rep and you're an agency, I can help you do that, because I also can help you with like, here's exactly how to sell, here's exactly how to generate leads, here's exactly how to do this. If you're a roofing company, I am probably not the best person to help you like hire your first sales rep and learn how to sell.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you're a logistics company, or like, that's not, but if you have 10 plus reps, at a certain point, it kind of all becomes the same.
Same thing.
They just need recruits. They have a good offer. And once there's some establishment and validation on offer, marketing, and sales, it is actually easier to figure out how to optimize it. So like a great example I was telling my team is like, I don't necessarily know how to run like, this is not totally true, but let's just say I'm not the foremost expert of what I teach in like event sales and back-end event sales and back-end follow-up and pre-event sales, right? But when I worked with Tony Robbins, they're doing like, hundreds of millions a year. And essentially, since they're so established and there's so much going on, and there's like established divisions, it was still very easy to like look at stuff and be like, okay, yeah, this needs changed. This needs changed. But if I had to think of the whole strategy from scratch, it's super tough. Does that make sense?
Well, I guess the only question of that strategy is so I think a lot of the value prop that you do, at least now, is your consulting side, you and your account management team.
Right.
So does it become more commoditized at that point in effect?
Well, you just have to do it differently, right? So like, I think if you compare to traditional recruiters, number one, like we're way faster to get salespeople than the traditional recruiter. I mean, way faster. Most traditional recruiters take forever. The other thing is really, we don't charge per salary on the places. We do a much lower rate for people who have bulk deals, right? So there's a pricing thing, there's a speed thing. We only do sales, so we're a specialist, so we can have people who are actually really good. All of our recruiters are mostly salespeople now, so good salespeople know other good salespeople. There's a couple really good value props there.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a really good guarantee for people like that. Like it's basically like if you don't, if If it doesn't work, you don't have to pay anything. And the big thing with a lot of big companies like that is that what I've found, they're doing 100 million. They have internal recruiters that are good. The problem is those internal recruiters get basically demolished by every department leader of the team, even if there's like 4. And so what we want to do is basically, it's like it's almost like we're a fractional hire. So you get the access to a team of 4 for the cost of what it would cost you one internal recruiter at $10K a month.
Yeah.
And so it's called RPO in recruiting. So that's kind of like, that's where I want to grow the company, because that's, you know, we're already, we almost operate within within the info industry like we're an info business.
Yeah.
And there's big info businesses, but you don't see many doing like $1 billion a year or anything like that.
Like the
There's recruiters who do $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to learn, okay, I need to shift us to become more, not traditional, but in that space, but disruptive in our own way, to be able to kind of like be able to get more scale and get bigger contracts. I don't need to get enterprise level contracts. It'd be nice, but I don't need that. But it would be nice to have like 100 to 500K average LTVs on clients.
I agree. That's actually like when I launched this Done For You offer, I have actually decided, I was like, even if I don't sell it, I want to make this something from the beginning that every decision I make is for enterprise value.
Yeah.
And so it is forcing me very like similar to what you're doing to like start asking these questions. Like, okay, in the info space, like I said, if your value is really your consulting, that's very difficult to package up and sell to individual people, and you're involved in all of that. So even for us, trying to, even though we do still do consulting, it's more like, how can we package this up into playbooks or assets and leverage AI to help get the same results without the consulting side of it. So I agree. It is interesting how I think it's cool because we have so much skill in the direct marketing world from info that I do think that if we're able to crack the lower middle market.
Well, that's what Daniel Iles has done so well.
Yeah, you'll just
because he worked with coaches, and I saw this and I was like, oh, this is like, I knew what he was doing, and then I asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, it's exactly what I did. He worked with coaches. He was like, not great. and then he pivoted, and he was like, let me work with like a financial advisory nationwide firm who literally, to them, social media is like, you know, to us what like coding is, or something like that. They're like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
And so he works with them, and then they can pay a lot more money, higher LTV.
And they're also not, and that was one thing. Like
they're not saturated.
Yeah, so one of the...
And it's broad. Your ads work better.
I didn't even tell you this, but on Monday of this week, so we've had 2 months of data for our marketing and sales system since we launched it on For You offer. And the bottom line, I'll skip to it, is that anybody making less than $50K a month, it's just not even worth our time. So starting on Monday of this week, I just made a hard jot form cutoff that if you're making less than $50K a month, you just get redirected to my YouTube channel.
Well, you could also like maybe sell them something else.
You can, but at the same time, I was even watching one of Daniel's videos, and he was saying how when they got rid of their downsell, they went from like 1.3 to 3 million the same month.
What I'm talking about is lead routing to your ramping closer to sell like a Done With You.
So that's what he was doing. I'm saying he said he had a 6K offer. When they cut that out,
but they were lead routing to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But one of the things I think I will probably do, because we are burning so much money now. I mean, our cost per call went from $350 average to $700 average because it's 50%. But I will probably try to, just because at this point, who fucking cares? It's dead traffic. I might just try to put a sales page for like a purely digital product.
I think you could try that.
And literally do it for $4.97.
What I'm saying is you could just, I don't know why it would make you less money to lead route people doing below the revenue to a different closer, right? Not because the thing with the downsell is if you send everybody to the same team and then you're like, all right, if they can't do this, you'll want, if your offer's 40K and your downsell is 6 and you lose one of those, you got to sell, what is it, 8 or something, 7?
Yeah.
To make it back up.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
So you could just lead route them to like your entry level close. They're throwaways anyways. Say, hey, ramp on these leads. And then if you're good, you can get my other leads.
Yeah, so the other thing was like, and once again, we did this on Monday. So our cost per call is $700 right now. But I will say that the people that we have coming through is
savage,
pretty amazing, honestly. And our cost per lead is $250. That's a full application form fill out. And like I told you, we don't have enough setters right now. So I think if we got 2 more setters, I could bring the cost per call to $500.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Easily. So all I'm trying to do though is like, my book is the critical constraint method. I'm just like, okay, I could do the DWY thing, but now I have to build this separate sales team and this separate.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to focus on the DFY. And also, if we're talking about enterprise, I don't know if the 6K downsell thing would be something that is exitable in that sense.
You should think about also what broader industries that can you target that like just don't even utilize YouTube at all.
So that's what I launched new ads on Monday too, where like, I'm also trying to get a little bit out of the info coaching, and try to go to what you just said. I just want somebody who like if they come on and they're like, dude, I need this YouTube video to bring me to sales, or like I'm not going to make my next payment. Like I don't want those people. You know what I mean? I want the people like you or me who are like, dude, you'll invest tens of thousands of dollars a month into content, even for a couple months before you see the true ROI.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like you want people who are looking at you as a fractional part of their business.
Exactly. Yes.
Like they're hiring in almost like a team member.
Yes.
That's how you almost want it. That's how it is with the RPO stuff too.
So like, we just changed it. I was like stressing over the cost per call. That's why I was asking you what your cost per call was earlier, because I was just like, but the package is 30 and 36K. So 30K for a PIF, 36K for for 6 months.
Yeah.
So, and then if we add on a back end to that, which our back end team on the DWI was 32% cross-seller retention rate.
Yeah.
I was like, so that's why I was asking your LTV numbers. So it's exciting, but it is crazy going from like the high volume, done with you consulting, like just ripping through all these calls every single day, to these people that are doing like, 3 million a year, 5 million a year.
Yeah.
And
well, it's better unit economics too.
Way better.
Because at the end of the day, if you sell 400 clients a month, you have the same team size. So if you're going to have the same team size no matter what, whether those 400 clients are paying you 50K LTV versus 15.
Exactly.
So, and also it's the same work.
Yes.
And maybe even more so on some of the broker people.
Yeah. The people that are hard
So
to work
it's
with.
just like that. I totally agree. I think that like my goal is to get to 200 people in a month, coming in a month, which isn't much more than we're at now. Then from there, just try to, I mean, I could maybe get to 250. It's fine. But like 250, then replace those people with higher LTV people, if that makes sense.
What do you mean by replace those people with higher?
Like, I don't mean replace them. I mean like, so if this is coming from our current funnel, then when we launch the broad stuff and we're getting the higher LTV people, it's like that funnel will start to eat our other funnel.
And keep it at 200 clients a month.
Yeah.
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 That makes sense.
That's good for us.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you have a pretty awesome LTV as well. Like you guys do an amazing job on the back end sales. But I also think it's easier to do the back end sales when you have higher quality people, that if the first thing they paid for you was $30,000, then like it's actually not as hard to sell them something either for 15
especially
grand.
if it's a service.
Yeah.
Because it's like, do you still want the service?
The same thing.
It's like, that's like it's so much easier than being like, so do you now want to go to this event?
More information.
And granted, like that what we've done is like, hey, let's still do the service, and then there's also this event on top of it.
That's why I asked you about your pre-onboarding call thing, because we are doing the same thing. We're included in that once every 6 months, because we were already doing it for our mastermind. We have our in-person event. And so now when you become a client, you also get that in-person event ticket. But after we had the discussion about what you said and then Hormozi, I'm already like, all right, we're probably going to do at least once a quarter and force people to register.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I was thinking, you have a better events staff than I do. So one thing I was thinking about is I might, and this is literally at the most surface level idea I have, but I might try to do a refundable deposit when it comes time to ask them to sign up for the events. That way I can make sure that, because if you're having events for a couple hundred people and like all these people that you're enrolling, they're like, hey, I'll be there. And then because you're doing the service for them less than the consulting, they may not value the event so much, so then they don't go to the event.
Yeah.
I think you could end up maybe footing a bill that's like, because events, as you know, are pretty expensive to put on. Like there's some serious hard costs to events with the numbers. And I'd be curious if you could like offset that, or at least get people to go. It's like, as soon as you check in at the check-in counter, we'll refund you the refundable deposit.
I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think for us, I mean, we have enough volume.
Yeah, you
like
guys
I
have
said,
big
where
events.
it's like, if I even get a 50% turnout of 1 month worth of enrollments, I mean, that actually might even be too much.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to kind of start low and
Build
Get
up from there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess would you ever go to the point that you were literally having like 500 person, 1,000 person? I just feel like that's a whole like
It's a
I
whole
did one for
different
300.
beast. Yeah, I would have
and
to be
I
getting
was-
a lot, paid a lot.
Yeah, I started doing that and I was like, this is a lot of work. Dude.
Yeah, 100 is about as much as I'd want to
Yeah,
do
I
for
think
a workshop.
75 to 100 is like a
Yeah.
really and for the people there. That's a really quality event. When you go to events that are, I went to, Cardo, what's it called, 10X. Like,
Yeah,
I went
that's
to.
that's a trade show.
Yeah, exactly. It's you don't.
You're not even watching the content at that point.
exactly. You're
Yeah,
talking.
you got Wes Watson on stage. He's calling everybody names.
I think that you end up becoming an events company. So
That's too much.
it's
Yeah, I
way
don't
too
like
much for that.
All right, we should probably get ready for dinner, but good stuff, man.
And that's a wrap.
I've never done a podcast.
Well, technically speaking, dude, honestly, some of the best podcasts and YouTube videos now, they just end right at the last word.